wife, Ro, because he knew Ro was coming with me.
But you still got to say, like, hey, my name's Dom Giordano. This is my wife, Ro.
I don't have to say my name.
You got to introduce the wife.
He asked me to come up in the elevator with his guy when everybody else is down.
So you don't even have to say your name. It says, oh, hey, Dom, how you doing?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
He opened the door. He was waiting at the door. I thought we were going to have
that's that cordial of a relationship that you're in.
Yeah. It wasn't like, so... Then Ro says, well, maybe he thought he didn't want to embarrass you. It might be another woman. I went, whoa, wait a minute here.
Well, it's a good point. You don't know what kind of circles the guy's floating around in.
Yeah, those top radio guys. You got to watch them. Yeah. All right, so we'll give you details on what happened there. And et cetera. Thank you, all the people that had some nice comments around there, and expect to hear Bill Maher with us again in the future. The act was what I expected. The loudest applause of the night was, we shouldn't all be just in silos in one tribe. He made mention of that a lot, of what he's trying to do.
Can I dig a bit?
Yeah, he's still very liberal.
Okay, that's my question. So on his show, it's very centrist, and I wonder, does he do a centrist show in hopes to gather a larger audience, and then when he does stand up, it's still more of his not progressive, but more liberal background?
I don't know about liberal. He's got Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah,
but when I asked him about it backstage, he claimed that's not the case. And he said, look, I understand, and he made the point 4 times during the hour and a half he was on stage, that Trump has people willing to vote. He gets it because of all the craziness of the woke, et cetera. And here's one guy that's going to stand there and say, I will stop it. Although I think DeSantis is one that says it every bit as much or more. But he also said to me backstage, come on. You know what? Ron DeSantis isn't funny. How am I going to make funny out of Ron DeSantis? I countered a little bit with Biden, and he goes, yeah, I guess I could do a little bit more.
Well, that's the thing.
But let's face it, Trump is just entertaining beyond belief on either side.
There's just so much material with the Biden and the Biden family and Hunter Biden and everything coming around.
Well, he did go after Hunter Biden.
Oh, he did?
It was pretty raunchy, pretty debauchery, and Hunter Biden. I wish I had the exact line.
So were both you and Ro audibly laughing out loud throughout the show?
Yes, Ro didn't like some of his comments on religion, of course, and so he still got that. Look, it's an hour and a half.
I'd venture to say that any comedian that you agree with 100% of the time is not a great comedian.
Yeah, but this was
make you feel uncomfortable.
This was
sometimes.
Extended stuff. Yeah. He's an equal opportunity, though. I was amazed at the ability to remember all that stuff and not miss a beat. So I'll give more details when we talk, maybe 12:30. Dan with Ed Sheeran and also with Bill Maher. Seeing the guy up close and then backstage, give me a lot of ideas. All right, now, the big story of the day, well, we got 2 of them here. Dan and I are working. I saw this over the weekend, and it's amazing to me. We're trying to get on the new head of the town council in Norristown. If you can imagine, this guy is tired of Norristown becoming Kensington Light. That's what it is. They're dumping everything in the world. All the mental health, all the drug and alcohol, and the homeless have taken over the city. So he comes up with the idea that he wants to give them a $500 gift card, and they'll get on a bus and go to the empty Villanova dorms. Why that? Well, because the reason is the empty Villanova dorms, there's a professor, a Villanova anti-poverty law professor, who's the leading advocate for the homeless over in Norristown, essentially taking over the streets. This is juicy. He's a Democrat. He styles himself as kind of the Governor Abbott of Norristown. I'll give you more details on that, and I love it. Villanova deserves every bit of it. Lecturing the rest of the world, this professor over there, they have empty dorms. Why not use them? Oh, come on, Tom, you can't be serious. Well, then stop telling the rest of the world about this. What would happen, Dan, if suddenly they had homeless encampments there using the dorms over in Villanova? How long would that go on for?
Not go well, no.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's talk, though. At 2 o'clock, we got 2 things we're watching. At 2 o'clock, Larry Krasner is holding a news conference today on the shooting, justified shooting in my view, on I-95, where the maniacs that came into Philadelphia. It wasn't just 95. This spread into Northeast Philadelphia, into Martina White's district. This vandalism, this violence, these street marauders. And this might even be more dangerous than the ATV crowd. And how many arrests did the Philadelphia police make? None that I know of. One, I'm told by inside sources, was within 200 yards of Bucks County. And it was the same MO again, many of them coming from outside the city because this is their playground. They're going to go wild here. They want to take over the streets. They're anarchists. So that's one part of the story. The other is, this calls into question Josh Shapiro. What's Josh Shapiro going to say about this once this comes out? And it was a state cop that shot, and I'll play you the girlfriend. This 18-year-old kid from Glen Mills with a very nice souped-up car. Why is he coming to Philadelphia to do this? Where are the parents? The news media, though, just plays the 18-year-old girl saying a bunch of wild stuff, doesn't put it in any context, and here we go again. Now, here's the big picture to me. Wherever you live in the suburbs, some have gone on record. Ben Salem, principally. Abington. We may hear from Pat Malloy. They are not going to send their cops into Philadelphia if there's an emergency or whatever. And they're exactly right. They ought to publicly say it. And maybe if 100 of these municipalities said it, we are not sending our cops into Philadelphia to help you because you know what it means. Now, this state cop is lucky in the one hand, he's a state cop. But he's still got Larry Krasner and the Philadelphia mob to contend with. And Josh Shapiro, I would hope, has the information. How much more of an investigation do we need? This kid comes flying at the state cops on 95 after his cohorts blocked off 95, blocking off 95 now. We say every day on Krasner Lands, every Thursday. What else can they do? And the answer is, it will not magically stop. It's got to be stopped. Incrementally, they will do worse stuff. I wouldn't be surprised, Dan, if they go on the Ben Franklin Bridge or something, block it and start doing it. They'll do anything. They're animals. And they have to be put back into restraint. It's a pretty simple thing. So we'll have that. Tim Scott is on The View today. We're waiting on the sound of that. You have something, Dan?
Oh, yeah, I got sound.
All right, we'll play that coming up. And it seemed the line of attack of the nutbags on The View was that Tim Scott doesn't understand systemic racism. He denies that's always the dodge. How would we measure that? Well, you can't measure it. Just imagine these nitwits with a smart guy like Tim Scott. By the way, I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy has been on The View. Oh, man, that would be bloodstained carpet if they let him on The View. They can't deal with anyone like a Tim Scott, so we'll play that throughout the show, too. Here is the girlfriend. And look, she's emotional over the death of her boyfriend, 18-year-old. But if you're going to put her on, coming up with this cockamamie story about a video that shows the kid who was shot outside the car, and then the cop shot him.
Did you see the video?
Yes.
It's very short. Like, there's nothing there's nothing that's shown on the video, really.
Right. Yeah. You got to put all this in context. And doesn't, they're not neutral. All right. I can accept neutral here. I think the benefit of the doubt, go to the police in situations like this. That doesn't mean carte blanche, but it means based at the headline in the Inquirer is where's the Inquirer headline here? Man killed by Pennsylvania State Police on I-95 after allegedly hitting two troopers. I think that's a little bit backwards.
Yes.
Don't you think? And the only reason anything was done is because these are state cops. Danielle Outlaw would not allow anything to be. She won't let anything be done if they blow up the city. That's what it's come down. Oh, it would be dangerous to give chase. Here's the girlfriend of the guy who was shot by the cops, I believe, justifiably.
Did you want A or B first?
Which one do you think?
I think B's probably better.
Okay, yeah, let's go to B.
Loves all cars. He drove an Audi S4, and he loved it. He pays for it.
Anthony Allegrini Jr. was 18, from Glen Mills. Many knew him as Ant. His girlfriend Regan says he grew up loving cars. Ant left for a car meet last night and then never returned.
I do agree that might not be the most safe thing to do in the world, but what's not safe is a cop showing up and killing an innocent life.
Ant's girlfriend says she doesn't believe this is exactly what happened. She believes Ant was outside his car when he was shot.
To the police in general, I just want to say that you need to own up to the rights and you need to give us the honest truth. Stop protecting yourself. You just killed an innocent life and you should be held accountable for that.
State police aren't commenting on the allegations from Ant's girlfriend, but police stand by their statement that Ant was in the car when he was shot.
I would just tell him how much I loved him and how much I would want to make his dreams come true. And I'm going to try my hardest to make all of those dreams come true in the future.
Now, look, if you're going to put her on, all right, there's got to be some questioning back and forth. I know it gently. Otherwise, don't put her on. So, look, of course, someone in this situation at the age of 18, taken away, we get it. But you know what? Dan and I talking off air, and I said, thank God maniacs like this didn't kill somebody else.
Yes.
I mean, this is what the cost is. Let's just say it here. Rather than nitwit comments about tapes that don't exist, about the police kill a man on 95. Just think of how far we've gone where they're blocking off 95 and Danielle Outlaw either isn't on the scene, doesn't care to be on the scene, or her stooges don't order the police to do anything. Let the state cops do it. So the state cops have to pick up the slack, and they're operating under state law. I wonder if Isaiah Thomas, Dan, keep your eye out, that clown over in Philadelphia City Council, driving equity guy. He'll probably want to ban state cops from Philadelphia. One of these morons is going to say, well, if these were Philadelphia cops, they would know how to handle it. He wouldn't have gotten shot. You watch. They might suggest it. They might say it in so many words. How far can this go? And my answer is it's incrementalism. The more that's allowed to go on in this summer, let's face it, Kenny, Outlaw, and of course Krasner, will allow it to go on. That's what they ran on. You can't deny it. You voted for it in Philadelphia overwhelmingly. They're running on exactly this. The people in Philadelphia, the magic thinking of the media, they don't want this to happen, but they don't want to take any steps to make it not happen. How do you do that? Well, we know how to do it. It's not magical. Pat Malloy can come on. John McNesby's here at 2. We know what to do. If you don't want to do that, then they're going to do this. Let them. Yeah, well, isn't it better, Dom, to let them? That way no one would be dead. Really? Is that what we've come to? So this is a big moment. It's a harsh reality. Now, who's responsible for this kid's death? Well, first of all, he is. Second of all, Kenny, more than the others. Well, Krasner, Kenny, Outlaw, and the mobs in Philadelphia who voted for them. It's not the cop. So the cop should have just done nothing there. Get out of the way. Let this go on. 855-839-1210. Coming up, we're going to play you some of Tim Scott. The best that The View did today is The View telling him, you are the exception. Oh, my God. How demeaning. How patronizing. They don't believe in the same America. They're not in the same America. And Tim Scott is like kryptonite to this super women of ignorance. Phone lines are 855-839-1210. We got a great side question. Hit us today with your all-time favorite fictional sports team. I saw this over the weekend, started going through. There's no doubt in my mind. My all-time favorite is Hickory High School. Gene Hackman.
Yep.
Hoosiers. Particularly the scene at the end where Gene Hackman's saying, we're going to trick him. Jimmy's not going to take the shot. And the other team, look, the guys look at him like, are you nuts? I don't care if you put 50 guys on Jimmy. Jimmy is going to take the shot.
Okay, so Hickory High School is fictional, but I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If they chose to cover the real high school in Hoosiers
Yes.
and did a somewhat fictionalized dramatization of a real team, are we
Yeah.
counting that real team if they've had a dramatization about them in our rankings? Are we only taking?
I think probably only fictional.
Only fictional.
Yeah,
so straight fictional teams.
Yeah, straight
Great.
fictional
So
teams.
Hickory
Yeah,
works,
yeah.
but if they did the real high school, it would not work.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to take, how about the Mighty Ducks off the board?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a
And
lot
the
of
kids.
those
Obviously, there's a real team, the Mighty Ducks, but that was
right.
I don't know if you knew this, but Disney had owned the Anaheim Mighty Ducks.
I do know that.
Yep,
yes.
And it was a marketing ploy to draw attention to the movie and their line of toys and all, and that's why they had the NHL.
I didn't know
team.
that part.
Yeah.
Oh man! In this scene in The View, Dan, Whoopi gets up out of her chair. She's standing there with Tim Scott and Sonny Hostin together, 2-on-1 here.
So coming up after the break, I have 2 clips here. Tim Scott's complaining that The View cuts to commercial break every time he wants a chance to respond. That's about 30 seconds. And I have a longer clip. They actually, Sonny Hostin, the ladies of The View, and Senator Tim Scott, he pretty much turns the topic of race around, saying, I'm on the show because of the comments made frankly on this show. The only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception. That's a dangerous, offensive, and disgusting message. So we'll hear that as well.
Oh, facing off with Anna Navarro. I think Whoopi didn't have a chair. They brought in 5 of them today to take on Tim Scott. Get 100 of them. Get 1,000 of these nitwits. And I'm wondering, people at home watching this, are they going, oh, yeah, those ladies on The View, they nail it. This country sucks. As Whoopi Goldberg makes $2 million a year. Wait a minute. Joy wasn't there today.
Oh,
my God. No, come on.
Now
she pumped
Tim's got to go back again.
Tim Scott's got to go one-on-one with Joy Behar. All right. 855-839-1210. One of Gene Hackman's best roles. Dom Giordano's show. Phone lines 855-839-1210. All right, you got the side question. You heard a little bit this past weekend. And in Philadelphia, more of that's going to happen. Thank God it was a state cop, not a Philadelphia cop. He would have just feared for his life and not fired a shot. Because if he did, this town would have erupted. By the way, the racial component, the kid in the car is white. So you would think that takes away the media narrative, but then they have the girlfriend emoting. So it doesn't take it away. Now, all of a sudden, something's wrong with the cops' response. What would these geniuses do with these people on I-95? I don't think this happens in other cities quite like this. This is a paradise for this. All right, now Tim Scott on The View.
Hey, can I just do a quick trivia question about Hoosiers?
Yes.
Just curious if you know this. So Milan is what that is based on. Hickory's based on, but they were playing Crispus Attucks, an all-black school, in the championship. And there was a sophomore on that team who went on to be an all-time NBA Hall of Famer legend. Who was it?
Don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Oscar Robertson. Big
Oh,
O.
that's right. That's right. He played for the, yeah.
Sorry. Back
the guy who averaged a triple-double.
Overrated?
In his who? Oscar Robertson?
Or underrated? Looking back.
Underrated.
Underrated?
Oh, yeah. A guy shooting the one-hand foul shot. The whole,
yeah.
No,
yeah.
Oscar Robertson is among the 20 best players ever, top 15 maybe. Maybe top 10. All right. So here's Tim Scott with Sunny Hostin, who was prepared for this, like she was in a courtroom. He doesn't get systemic racism. You are the exception. Don't you get it? America sucks. There's got to be one exception to that. You know what they're saying? You're just a model minority. You're an Uncle Tom. You made it somehow or another. We all know how. Sucking up to the white establishment. Here's how it sounded on The View.
Unsec there, Dom. Sorry about that. I lost my clip. And here you go.
You have indicated that you don't believe in systemic racism. What is your definition of systemic racism?
Let me answer the question that you've answered.
Or does it even exist in your mind?
Let me answer the question this way. One of the things I think about, and one of the reasons why I'm on the show, is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not actually. It's been
114 years.
Yeah. So the fact of the matter is, we've had an African-American president, African-American vice president. We've had 2 African-Americans to be secretaries of the state. In my home city, the police chief is an African-American who's now running for mayor. The head of the highway patrol for South Carolina is an African-American.
Still
in
exceptions.
In 1975, there was about 15% employment in the African-American community. For the first time in the history of the country, it's under 5%.
40% homelessness.
And 50% of the folks in our community
get 13% of the population.
You had a chance to ask the question. I know that I've watched you on the show, that you like people to be deferential and respectful, so I'm going to do the same thing.
That is true.
So here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest the fact of the matter is that progress in America is palpable. It can be measured in generations. I look back at the fact that my grandfather, born in 1921 in Sally, South Carolina, when he was on a sidewalk, a white person was coming, he had to step off and not make eye contact. That man believed then, with some doubt now, in the goodness of America, because he believed that having faith in God, faith in himself, and faith in what the future could hold for his kids would unleash opportunities in ways that you cannot imagine. Every kid today can look, just change the stations and see how much progress has been made in this country. ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, CNN, Fox News all have African-American and Hispanic hosts. So what I'm suggesting is that the yesterday's exception is today's rule. And for us to suggest—
America has met its promise.
No, of course, the concept of America is that we are going to become a more perfect union. But in fact, the challenges that we face 50 years ago and 60 years ago should not be the same challenges that we face today. And here's the way that you measure that. When my mother was born, about 10% of African Americans got a high school degree, diploma. Today, it's over 90%. When you look at the income, success that we've had—
That's an HBCU stat.
Well, listen, HBCUs is a good one because one of the reasons why I took the funding for HBCUs to the highest level in the history of the country, and then I helped make it permanent, is because I believe that education is the closest thing to magic in America. So I'm about making sure that our kids have as many opportunities to succeed as possible. It's one of the reasons why
I need an opportunity to succeed because I have to go to. They're
We have more time, though.
They're big.
have more time.
Coming back.
I'm just getting started.
I know.
I believe all people can see the success that I've had.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
I didn't hear much of a rebuttal by the ladies on The View. Dan, did you hear any rebuttal to what he was pitching?
No, it's Saved by the Bell right there. It's producers pulling the lever and saying, "Hey, let's go to break because you guys are not going to win this argument."
I just wanted to say that isn't it magical? They can come up with systemic racism, and then you don't have to prove it. They don't like metrics. They don't like specifics. Tell me what metrics we'd like to look at, and then we could decide how much progress has been made rather than just saying the dumb stuff of systemic racism. That's the difference. That's what he was. I was waiting for the line there. Maybe they were too. From cotton to Congress.
Here's another quick clip from there, Dom. Let me get it up on. So youtube.com/@12WPHT. If you're not there now, you're seeing these clips live. You can see the video of these as well. So youtube.com/@12WPHT. Dining with Dom every day. Take a listen to this one, Dom.
You think Disney is the radical left?
Well, I'm talking about.
No, but do you think Disney's radical left?
Well, I think Disney and Ronnie have been in a combat zone for a number of months over what I thought was the right issue as it relates to our young kids and what they're being indoctrinated with. I thought he started off on the right foot on that issue. It is 100%.
No, not here. I'm sorry, sir. Do not boo. This is The View.
You think Disney is the radical left?
Well, I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, of course they are. Elements there, what they put out. I don't think Disney necessarily, he could have answered as a radical left. They want to make a buck off it. That's what they're catering to. That's what they're trying to do. And there are elements there, certainly in the management that are. All right, let me answer Kim. Let me answer Kim in Atlantic City here on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Kim, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, Kim.
My question is, first of all, can we use an old horse race track for car racing or convert one live horse racing track into car racing? They'd have to pay a small fee. Kids start out wanting to race. Yeah, we know havoc starts after they're all there in a mob, but that might start something.
Kim, they don't want that. That's the point. They don't want that type of thing. It's anarchy. It's wildness. It's showing they're in control of the streets. It's one-upping each other. They don't want to race. They don't want to become.
Is that what happens after they're all together? A few hotheads go off the deep end.
No,
a lot of the
they are animals in this group. I'll say the word. That's exactly what they are, Kim. No, it's not a few hotheads. It's marauding. It's anarchy. It's not just speed that is. It's the same thing with the ATV people. They have places to go. They don't want to do that.
And that's what I want to say, too, is they have ATCO right across the way.
Yes.
ATCO Raceway. There's so many raceways in South Jersey's rife with raceways. I mean, even right here in Eastern Pennsylvania, there's a ton of them, too.
Over. You need something in Philly, something that's there local.
Thank you, Kim. Look, Kim's a nice lady. I'm not going to, so I'll just address it this way. It's the South Philly look. When you see what's in front of you, you don't pretend, oh, little Johnny, can't we build you an ATV? Can't you go and race over here? The whole idea of it is the thrill of these losers coming together to be defiant, to be anarchistic, to just take over. That's what they're telling you. And what has to happen is, bluntly, police, law enforcement have to be allowed to say no. So that means stopping these vehicles, impounding them. I would crush them also, ultimately. They're violative of every law imaginable. We saw this in Wildwood last year. Don't think of it. Let's not go down this path of few hotheads. The whole idea is to do this stuff. It's a thrill. of doing whatever the hell you want, Dan.
I don't want to be like a old nudge because again, like I love video games and I play this game, but it's a lot of kids are fans of Grand Theft Auto. They want to go reenact that in real life, and putting a track out there doesn't accomplish that. They want to, close the highway. It's cool to go on social media. We're doing donuts in the middle of I-95. That's the entire point.
That's the point. The kid from Buckingham who killed Officer Fitzgerald. He goes to Temple, as high crime of a neighborhood as you're going to find, because he wants to reenact. He wants to be a big guy. He wants to engage there. And he ends up shooting Officer Fitzgerald.
Can I just put it like it was, this isn't just a, they were having fun out on I-95 closing it. There were pedestrians stopped, people that were just trying to drive at 3:45 in the morning. And the cops had to redirect them to go the opposite direction in the shoulder going towards oncoming traffic to try to get them out of there because it was such a panic situation. That's a public news. That's scary. That could kill someone.
On top of it, you know how I feel about that. The one thing, if I ever rammed it on my thing, is I'm going to move traffic along. You're not stopping me at 3:45. Get them the hell out of there. That's how far it's reached. No, they don't want to track. They don't want to do any of those things. And if I hear one more time, well, where are kids supposed to have fun in Philadelphia? No wonder why they rioted at Penn's Landing. My God, it's not about that. There's plenty of things to do if you want to do that. And it's not a few hotheads. Dan's right. It's a social media phenomenon. There are hundreds, if not thousands. They're drawn to Philadelphia. They're going to continue to do this. So it's going to be fascinating to hear Larry Krasner at 2 today with the state police, how they're going to treat this. The evidence seems to be overwhelming. 2 cops were hit. You're still driving your car at another. You're going to get shot. Case closed. I'd love to hear from the mom and dad. The girlfriend knew, I think they knew, he was going to these sort of meetups. They're not meetups. Oh, let me see your car. People are acting, Dan, like it's a vintage car show. Driving along in Wildwood or something. It's anarchy. That's what it's about, hanging out of cars, taking over. That's the idea. And the Philadelphia police want to send a message. No, you don't take over anything here. That message has been lost. All right, we have more of Tim Scott coming up here and your calls. Sorry, Kim, that's why I hung up, though. I didn't want to hit you with that force. That's not a solution to any of this. It's not about that, not at all. It's about raw power. It's about people that are exhibiting just beyond dangerous nonsense. And it's about restoring order. All right, you want to have more places to go and do this stuff? Knock yourself out. You're not going to do that. It's the streets. It's taking over the streets. It's living out a fantasy.
It's exactly what it is. We're taking over. It's we're going to take over this I-95. No one can do anything to stop us. The cops aren't going to do anything. So let's prove to all our buddies and friends on social that we're cool and we're badass. No, you're not.
There was one miscalculation, Dan. These are not Philadelphia cops. I don't know how you wake up every morning. I salute you and be a Philadelphia cop with this stupid,
same here,
just ineffectual double race identity, gender identity, nail polish put in charge of you and her stooges, and then Krasner, and then Mayor McBourbon, wherever he is. Right? How do you wake up every day and have to stand there and be insulted in this manner and pretend that you're doing something? Because they're going to play it out through the summer. That's what you face. Well, guess what? They made a miscalculation. These were state cops actually following the law. All right, 855-839-1210. That's how you get in here. Hit us on the side question. Give us that fictional sports team. There's 100 of them out there. Give us your all-time favorite. Don't wait to the end. We don't have recency bias at the end. Hit us throughout the show. There's something we're missing about this. And notice a lot of it was in Northeast Philadelphia also, close to the border with Bucks County. It's a nice idea. Why can't we just give them other things to do? They don't want that. The kids that do are already using that. These are not little scamps, little miscreants. These are people that are out of control. And here's the thing, to Dan's point about turning around. I think of your loved ones and my loved ones and you and me and Dan out there on the roads with these people. Think about that. Don't think about their desires and, oh my God, I don't have a place to drag race. All right, let me tell you about my friend and board certified prosthodontist. That's Dr. Robert Bentz of the Bentz Group in East Norriton. Now, whenever I talk to Dr. Bentz, to give you an update, whenever I go there, we always talk about the fact he is a problem solver. So much so that dentists from all over the place refer their tougher cases to Dr. Bentz. Whatever your issues are, Dr. Bentz will develop a custom plan for long-term oral health and give you the smile that you've always dreamed of. Plus, if you or a family member has been avoiding going to the dentist, we have one woman, it took 8.5 years to get there. Dr. Bentz offers sedation dentistry to make your visit a pleasant experience. If you've been putting off that nagging minor problem, as he always says, take care of it now before it gets worse. From routine care to dental implants, from an on-site digital lab to the great staff, they'll make your visit the most comfortable and convenient possible. See Dr. Robert Bentz. Get the oral care you need and deserve and that beautiful smile you've always wanted. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com. Book that appointment today, BentzDentalGroup.com, or call 610-272-6949. All right, Dom Giordano Show. Welcome in, everyone. I'm looking at a redesigned Walgreens. I'm not sure. There's several of them. Some are in San Francisco, some are in New York, Dan. There are only 2 aisles where you can actually touch something and pick it up.
Where is this?
It's either New York or San Francisco. It's a
Wow.
first. This is what they're going to be rolling
So
out.
everything else is just behind like
Yeah, you have to
cages
use a kiosk. You
Oh.
order it via kiosk and then come and do that. Yep. Well, in Philadelphia with Larry Krasner, it's only I'm looking at just simple products, just some kind of shaving cream, Vaseline. I mean, I'm looking up and down. Yeah, from the New York Post. So I believe it's in New York. And this is how they're going to redesign stores, and then you order by kiosk. Sounds like a plan if you want to remain here in Philadelphia. So what's driving this? Progressivism. That's what's driving every part of this. Now, Martina White's office, Dan, you can give me the headlines here, has issued a statement because Martina White represents the farther Northeast, probably one of the safest areas in the city. And a good bit of this nonsense happened in her district and then went down 95. So they were close. They were within 200 yards, I'm told, of the Bucks County border with Philadelphia. And this is an area where you don't see that. Tarsdale and Cotman was the center of some of this stuff. Now, usually this happens on Broad Street, downtown Philadelphia. It happens Penn's Landing. It happens over in Temple area. Now they're coming to Northeast Philadelphia and the suburbs. Well, why are they doing that? I don't want to ask why. The why doesn't matter. There's only one thing that matters. You don't need a why. It's to stop it. So whatever their why is, the thing that stops it, arrest, penalties, jail, taking away vehicles, and even deadly force. Now, is that deadly force going to stop some of this? No, it's an isolated incident. It's consistent enforcement. Dan, what did Martina White say?
Sorry, Dom, I had that in front of me. Pulling it up now. She wrote over, this was a siege caused by drivers with no fear of arrest or prosecution, commandeering our neighborhoods and highways to use as illegal raceways. They endangered the lives of Philadelphia police officers, Pennsylvania state troopers, as well as innocent drivers and the residents who live near the sites of the chaos. This was not the first time this happened, and it won't be the last until we begin arresting and prosecuting the groups behind these illegal meetups. We must not tolerate this assault on our police and neighborhoods. That's why I am working to find ways to hire and retain more officers. This organized madness must stop.
Well, the remedy to that's not going to happen currently while we have the people in charge that we do now with a new mayor and then hopefully a new police commissioner. You still have the Krasner problem, though. And again, I'm waiting to put on the air. You know, they listen. We have all kinds of people over the suburbs. You'd like to come on if you're in some kind of office in the suburbs and say, yeah, we've said a long time ago, we are not sending our cops into Philadelphia. We're not going to expose them to this. We don't care. You know, you have a Super Bowl parade, you need extra. Any town that sends their cops there just doesn't get it. Because all that has to happen is something like this. Then they have to make a decision, maybe get run over, maybe get attacked or use deadly force. Now, this guy, thank God, is with the state police. And I think there's going to be an eruption with the state police unions across the country. Now, where's Josh Shapiro on this? What is he going to say about it? I just want to hear more suburban communities say, what several of them have said, nope. Ben Salem, I really admire. They're the number one that did this a while ago and said, no. Anytime you set foot in Philadelphia, that means Larry Krasner has an eyeball on you. And this guy is under the purview of Larry Krasner currently, who's holding a news conference at 2:00 today. Just imagine a cop from the suburb. You're going to Philadelphia. They need our help. Now, they don't need your help. They have made decisions to put into office and to continue this nonsense. No one should help Philadelphia, federal, state, a suburban. Let them do whatever they're going to do.
Back to hiring. Is there any one benefit, one positive you can think of that would draw police to Philadelphia over a suburban town?
No, there's nothing.
Like it used to be, like if you got the experience in a big city, then you could pretty much go anywhere. But I don't think that applies anymore because these apartments are so messy.
Yeah, there's none other than they love Philadelphia. Maybe they had somebody who was a cop in Philadelphia. They want to be part of the family type of stuff.
Yeah.
Or, let's face it, some aren't that good. You're going to get the bottom of the barrel, let's face it, at times, because they can't do anything else. Like Abington, maybe some of them can sneak in Philadelphia because of some waivers versus Abington.
Yeah, and I'd assume what's happening now is like a person coming out of college or wanting to enter into the force applies to Philadelphia, Cherry Hill, Abington, a bunch of places around the area. And then obviously, the suburban cops will pick the best of the bunch. And then it filters down and the worst cops end up in Philadelphia because there's nowhere else for those guys to go.
Exactly. Sure. That's the way I'd be figuring this too. I look at Pat Malloy as my commander. every inch an outstanding cop and intellect, too. And then I look at Daniel Outlaw. Who do you want to go into battle with? My God.
Yeah.
My God. And Dan, even more, Daniel Outlaw on her way out the door looking for another job. Imagine the distraction level now.
That's the big thing for me. Like, if I'm a police officer, I do not want a boss who prioritizes politics over my safety.
Well, that's exactly right. All time.
Yeah.
She's the all-timer. There have been some, not so good. This is the all-time worst. All right, we'll take more of your calls coming up. Don't forget the side question. Hit us with that fictional sports team. There's some great ones. There's some hockey ones. There's a couple that have been left off. There's a kids one. Lori might have that one. All right, all that's coming up. First, though, let me remind you about water. It's so important to make sure that our families have the essentials, food, shelter, and, of course, pure, clean drinking water. A lot of news about drinking water these days. Just do what I did and count on Martin Water Conditioning to secure your family's drinking water. The Kinetico system removes all the impurities from your water. What comes out of the tap? Crystal clear, all natural water. Not only is it the best tasting water ever, it provides peace of mind knowing that your family's water is pure and clean. Remember that big scare we had, right? Think Martin Water Conditioning, passionate about water. They'll put their 46 years of experience to work for you. They've been to the house a couple times, test water. They come back periodically, make sure everything's going great. They are fantastic. They love their work and to show you what they're doing for you when it comes to your water. Contact Martin Water Conditioning. Mention DOM, DOM 2023. You get an exclusive offer, DOM 2023. Click on martinwater.com. Remember that offer, 800-887-7555. Martin Water, 800-887-7555. Dom Giordano's show. So we're just talking about State Representative Martina White, who's right on top of what happened here this weekend. She's called in. She's with us on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Martina, welcome in, and thanks for being one of the forces we can turn to. Very, very few in Philadelphia. What are you thinking can be done about this?
Hey, Dom. Look, I think initially we obviously understand that there aren't enough law enforcement officers out on the street. We have to attract more into the field and make sure that they stay. So I'm working on a variety of incentives to try to ensure that that takes place. Not only things that will happen right away, but then also things that will help us down the road. As we obviously know, there's so many officers that are just, the morale is pretty low. And so we want to make sure that we keep the officers we have and also improve on the numbers that we have out in the street. But, as it pertains to these illegal racing, these vehicles, I think, look, you just confiscate the vehicles when you catch them and, make sure that we have the prosecutors prosecuting the cases. So I think at 2:00 today, supposedly the DA and the state police, the state troopers are going to be doing a press conference. So I look forward to hearing what they have to say. Hopefully it's, we're going to enforce the law, and any of these guys that are caught, they're going to be held accountable.
Well, it seems to me, though, it's a police commissioner who has a mythical law. It's too dangerous to do anything about it. The police I speak with, Martina, probably you too, differ. They know their job. They know how to enclose this. You're not going to get everybody in one fell swoop, but you got to make it that they know some are going to be caught in this.
Right. In certain areas of the city, I don't know what necessarily what the response is to incidents like that. But I mean, when you have 300 some vehicles showing up on random neighborhood streets that are not conducive for that kind of activity, also obviously totally illegal, there has to be a major response by the city and the state troopers when those kinds of incidents occur. And I think that you're right, that they know how to handle. They're well trained. They know how to handle these situations. So we just got to give them the support that they need to get the job done. But like I said, manpower is a big issue.
Kind of surprised too. We saw this right away, and the people that were texting me and the aftermath early on said, in your district, one of the safest. In other words, there's no place now. It spreads. Some of this was within 200 yards of the border with Bucks County, I'm told.
Yep. So the one was on Bustleton and Philmont Avenue. And so it was just, it's right near George Washington High School. It's not a good scene. To have that kind of activity happening right out in the middle of our communities is really ridiculous. And very, very frustrating for local public officials like myself, but also, for our neighborhoods. It happens at such late hours in the evening into the early morning, and it's just revving engines and burnouts and noise and racket, and people can't sleep. You have seniors that are scared. It's not fair to our communities to have this kind of, criminal type activity taking place. It's illegal. These street racers should not be doing what they're doing. It's very, very dangerous. And even with our local Philly PD, the officer was very, nervous about even having to handle that situation with so many, kind of like a flash mob, but with cars. And it's dangerous. And then you have the state troopers who are handling, a vehicle who was endangering their lives. I mean, it's a problem, and it needs to be addressed. And I'm hopeful that the city leadership will step up and evaluate how they can handle these situations when they come up, and make sure that the vehicles are being confiscated. And even, look, take their driver's licenses. There's no reason for this kind of stuff to continue. And our city should not be subjected to this kind of activity. They got to arrest the people and prosecute them.
Martina, thank you. To be continued. Thank you very much, Martina.
You got it. All right. Take care, Dave. Be well.
Martina White here on Talk Radio 1210. We'll talk with the Moms for Liberty. Boy, they got a lot of people coming to their big convention. Hopefully, we're going to be invited to there and broadcasting from there.
Great.
That'll be at 1:30, but your calls are next on Talk Radio 1210.